Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Reload Revelation, the show where we break down some gear, talk about the news, and overall, have a good time. I'm your host, Ryan Solson. Thank you so much for tuning in again. If you like this content, do me a favor, ring that bell for notifications, subscribe, and let's get into this together. So for the first story I have for you today is kind of an update on what was going on for Super Bowl Sunday with the Kansas City Victory Parade. More and more people are trying to look at gun violence laws. It's very divided right now. I mean, some people want it, some people don't. All depends on how everyone stands in this sort of issue. The mayor of Kansas City had this to say. My thing is this. Yes, we need to invest in particularly the lives of so many of our young boys in our cities, but the guns are also a problem. If there were not semi-automatic weapons, not that many people would have been hit, full stop. So let's kind of break down what he's talking about here. He obviously agrees that there is a problem with young men in this culture that we live in right now. With, Kansas City, it's a rough city, don't get me wrong. But there's a lot of cities, if not most cities, are like that. It's rough neighborhoods. And then he goes on to say, well, but the guns are also a problem. Okay, for who? For you or for your political party that you're trying to push? It shouldn't really be a coincidence that people in these tragedies are suffering from a whole lot of despair because a lot of people got hurt. One person is confirmed deceased. God rest her soul. But is it really the problem with the guns, or do you have a problem with the people? Apparently, Governor Mike Parson kind of agrees with me on that. And he said, what is the core root of people feeling it is okay to go out and kill people? That's not normal. There is an issue in our society today that I think I don't have all the answers. If I did, I'd fix it tomorrow if I could. I think it's a bigger issue than just saying who buys guns and who doesn't buy guns. Criminals do not care about any gun laws because they will always get what they want. They will always get firearms. They will always get tools to do harm. It's our job as citizens to protect ourselves and others if we take up our Second Amendment rights. It's also interesting to see that the mainstream media is covering up a lot of these shooting stories, which is unfortunate because they don't want to tell us the full story because it doesn't fit a narrative that they're trying to push. Their most hated thing is it takes a good guy with a gun to stop a bad guy with a gun. And let's not we forget, about a year ago now, Elijah Dickens, who 6 months ago in their state passed constitutional carry, meaning you don't need a permit to carry. And he stopped a mass shooter, what is to be, in the case, 10 rounds from 40 yards away, kind of intermittent throughout their incident. Why don't they talk about that more? Well, because it just proved that people that are armed in a society are a polite society. Our second story is kind of an uplifting one. It turns out that Alabama, which is one of the most gun-friendly states in the union, House committees decide to try and push through bills. And there's at least 7 bills that a local group called Bama Carry are rigidly against. And I mean, few examples is, HB 20, penalty for failure to inform whose possession and question. They're opposing that, as well as provide a do not sell list or a no gun buy list. Everything looks nice on paper until it's put into practice because it's just a slippery slope to when all of a sudden they're seizing everything that you own because it doesn't fly with their agenda. However, the group Bama Carry is hosting an event to oppose these bills. So if you live in Alabama, go check them out on their websites. And if you want to support your rights, well, there you go. It really is kind of looking over these proposed acts. It seems like every election year, there's always something. Anyone that takes a tragedy and throws it into their own court for their own gain, political wise or personal wise or what have you, it's pure evil across all boards. If you use the people that lost their lives, but it seems to be that pattern going on with a bunch of shootings that's been happening recently. And a lot of people had this to say, well, if we got rid of guns, these wouldn't happen. I disagree. Because these are happening, we have to take a look at where they're happening. Only law enforcement officers were allowed to carry guns with the amount of people that were there. In Michigan, it kind of resembles the same thing where it's about 2,500 people, and then after 2,500 people are in a public place, you cannot either conceal carry, open carry, or carry at all. And it's really interesting to see. It's like, well, what if there was only a few people concealed carrying? Would that have helped the situation? Would it escalated to that? Well, no one can tell, because what happened. However, if we look at Elijah Dickens's case with constitutional carry, no one knew that he was carrying a gun until they found out that he was carrying a gun, and he saved lives. They want to do the exact opposite. So instead of relying on people to protect themselves and others in a time of crisis, they want you to fully support whatever beliefs they want you to believe. You can't say anything about it. Once guns are taken away, your voice is taken away. That is the one thing that is making us stand against government overseeing what we do on a daily basis. They know the fact that people are armed. They know that they don't want that anymore, as shown by previous examples. And they want you to be under their control at all times. Now, whether or not you have the end-all be-all newest Gucci rifle, or you have granddad's old shotgun, I'm begging you, please do not give up your rights for a little bit of safety. You know, Benjamin Franklin said it the best. If you give up your liberties for a feeling of security, you deserve neither, and you will get neither. So what I have for you today is the J.C. Higgins Model 20 12 gauge, chambered in 2 3/4 inch shells. It's very nice. Believe it or not, this is the type of shotgun that was sold at Sears. Very, very interesting. So we're going to go down through it, take it apart, put it all back together, all that good stuff. As far as barrel length is nice. It's like a nice hunting shotgun, just something very, very standard. Comes with one, and I mean just one, little action bar right there. Now, most shotguns that you're going to see now come with two. Now, 2 action bars means more rigidity, more stability, but the fact is that a certain gun company had the 2 action bars patented. That's why you saw these with just a single one, or it was just, cheaper to make. I've heard both. I definitely know now that 2 action bars are better than one. Like the good old saying goes, 1 is none, 2 is 1. We got just a normal bead sight right up top for reference. It's got a magazine tube capacity. I believe it is 6. The pump action itself is made out of this very beautiful wood, and it's got a good grip to it. Like it's not as crazy as some of the other shotguns that we've seen, but it's enough to get the job done. Going down to it, the receiver, it's blued, which is a type of forging when making a firearm. Standard crossbolt safety, very simple. A nice checkered grip on our buttstock, as well as some grooves in there to make it a little bit more comfortable, which is kind of nice to see on an older shotgun like this. The trigger, standard trigger, nothing crazy. I mean, this is just, you're going to your sporting goods store, you found a shotgun you like, and you buy it. That's what this is. As far as the disengage lever, probably my favorite part because it's just so easy to get to on this model, which on some models it can be a little tricky, but this one's just nice. It's flat, easy disengage. What's cool about this is that it has a lot of different mechanisms that you don't really see anymore, which is kind of interesting when we're going to take a look inside. Other than that, it's pretty standard, just a nice 12 gauge shotgun. You notice here that there is no leaf cover or shell cover when you're loading in your shells. You can just already just get your thumb right in there when loading shells. Again, sometimes that's just personal preference. Some people like it, some people don't. I wouldn't mind it having a little bit of protection right there, but again, I'm not the one shooting shotguns in crazy conditions. But for the average American, when the time comes, it's not too bad. As far as a home defense weapon, though, I would probably say no.
only because that barrel length is really, really long. You don't want to, go around corners like that. It's not good. But let's take a look inside. So first off, to take this thing apart, you got to get that screw out. So we're just going to unscrew that. Being very delicate, just a standard Phillips screwdriver. And it pops out just like that. We're going to set that over to the side. Slide off your clamp all the way off the barrel. Boom, keep that. Then we're going to go to our receiver end, and we have to punch out this pin. So what I would do is I would take a punch, put a little bit of tape on it so you're not going to ruin any sort of finish. Take any type of hammer and then just kind of tap it out. Until you flip it over to the other end. Pop it out. There's your detent pin. Put it to the side. Take out your trigger assembly. You're just going to rock it out of the front like that. There's that. Then there's this little piece that's going to be sitting in there. That's your ejection slider. Put that off to the side as well. Then you're going to slide your pump back. You're going to see this metal piece just kind of floating on there. Match it within the box. Pull that straight out. If you don't remember the orientation, put it as is to the side as best you can. To get out your receiver plate, very simple. You just take one of the ends, push bolt up front. That way it's a little bit more ease of access. Take it, and you're going to have to pinch the sides to get out your shell ramp. Takes a little bit of elbow grease. That's okay. There you go. Looking good. And then lastly, you can just lift out your bolt. Make sure it looks good. It looks clean and all that. To put it all back together, it's easy enough. We're just going to reverse the order. Put your bolt in first. Slide your action all the way to the front. Take your feed ramp. Find those two holes again by pinching it in. If it takes a little time, that's okay. What you want to do is you want to make sure that that feed ramp is below your receiver pump. That way when you can see it, you can kind of see it in there. If I slide it forward, you'll see that ramp kicks down. Next, we will take our metal piece right here. Match up your action bar with the plate on there. It'll kind of make sense. It fits just like a puzzle. Until it lays nice and flat. You want it to lay flat. That's how you know you got it in there correctly. Next is our ejection. This nub right here, this little nub right here, you want to get it into the indent on the receiver side. So if you flip it over that way, you can kind of see it just fit right in there. And this is the trickiest part. You want to get your trigger assembly back in without knocking that out of place. So you just rock that back in from the front. Push it all the way in. Make sure your feed ramp is there. And now you can kind of see how that action's going to work. Take your detent pin. Push that back in. Make sure you know which side is going where. The flatter side is going on this side. Not this side. This side. So now you have all that. Then you take your magazine tube and barrel clamp, which the open end is going on the barrel side. Remember that. And then you're going to find the more open hole because the screw has to fit inside that clamp. And then screw it back into place until you get it nice and snug. Doesn't have to be over tight. It's just holding the pieces together. Make sure it's just nice and tight. Hand tight is usually okay. If you want to go an extra quarter turn, again, that is okay as well. You just kind of feel it get nice and snug. Get a little quarter turn. Then we're going to make sure that our action is working. Everything is working, manual of arms. So we got our discharge lever here. Pull it out, put it back in. And there you have it. That's our JC Higgins Model 20 in 12 gauge, 2 3/4 inch shells. Very, very interesting to say the least. It's a wonderful piece of history. It's a nice standard shotgun that everyone kind of recognizes when they see it. And the fact is that you could have gotten it at Sears, of all places. To think about that in modern days now is wild.
So when you're going to the range, you obviously need something to carry your rifles in because they frown upon you, loading up, racking up, and going to the range like that. What I recommend you do is you get a nice range bag. So this is Save Your Equipment's range bag. It's, just a 2 rifle range bag. It supports any modern rifle, 16 inches. I would say the max is probably about 20 barrel length. However, it has 3 pouches on the front for magazines, as well as a Velcro strap and a bungee keep. So once you load it all up, you cinch it down. It's not going anywhere. As well as MOLLE webbing on each side for any of your MOLLE accessories. It also has a center pouch that can fit most handguns. All you got to do is just unzip it like so. And then it just unflaps like that. Makes sense. Really easy. Super simple. And it's got a hidden compartment on the other side with a zipper to keep stuff like pistol mags, things like that. That back up. It has a spot on the front for like morale patches, things like that. The first patch, the middle pouch has 2 Velcro straps on it, as well as the keep. And I mean, you could store magazines, tools, gun cleaning equipment, you name it. As far as the main compartment, you just unzip it, it folds, it's got a foam partition between each sides, so you don't really have your guns bumping around while you're traveling. Makes sense, and it's got little keeps on the side, so you just slide your stock in, strap it down with the Velcro straps on the inside, and once you have it all secured up, you just fold it back up, zip it all up, and you're good to go. Now, the question being is whether or not you go soft or hard case. Honestly, it's personal preference. I like it because not only can I carry it like a briefcase, it's got backpack straps on the back end. So if I want to sling it up on my back, I can. It just gives me an option to do that. It's got, straps galore. It's got a Velcro strap on the top. Basically, you just fling it over, cinch it up, and you can carry it like a big handle. Overall, it's a very nicely produced item. I would say I've used this day in and day out when I go to the range. No one bats an eye, and really, in all the glorified forms, it's a bag. Putting on the MOLLE stuff can always be kind of tricky. However, once you get it in, it's securely in there. I mean, it's not like tight, but it gets the job done. There are 2 zipper pouches on the front end on each side of the MOLLE webbing to store like little knick-knack things when you go to the range. It's real fun. So that's our Save Your Equipment range bag. If you want to check them out, I say go check them out. They make great stuff. If you want fun morale patches, a lot of Army surplus stores sell them. I'm sure a lot of other websites sell them. It's kind of a trade secret. Why? Because my mom gets me these for Christmas. So if you like this, check out Save Your Equipment. They make good stuff. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. If you like this content, do me a favor. ring that bell for notifications, subscribe, and remember these 5 rules.
Never point your firearm at anything you don't intend on shooting. Know what is behind your target at all times. Be aware of your surroundings. Keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot.
And of course, have fun. I'm Ryan Souls for Reload Revelation. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Now do me a favor, get yourself a good range bag and go catch some R&R.